I'd like to take a little bit of time to tell Ollie's story. And Ollie's story has led to my education as a body worker and ultimately the creation of this course. I wanted to provide horse owners like me that may have had just complete train wreck horses like Ollie the opportunity to learn skills to keep them more comfortable and just have a better bond and connection with their horses, be more in tune to kind of what is going on with them. So I wanted to explain to everybody what we dealt with that led to him inspiring this course. And in 2016, he joined our family as a husband safe trail horse who we were well aware was half blind in one eye from a trailer accident as a young horse. He was 16 when we got him. And we started to notice pretty quickly that his blindness was getting worse. We think it was following an eye infection once he came to live with us. But ultimately, he became completely blind in the right eye and created a lot of really unsafe behaviors for some of the people that we had around the barn. So we had put some consideration into selling him, and I had just really fallen in love with him and couldn't bring myself to do that. So because I had just gotten my certifications and knew how beneficial body work could maybe be for some of his issues, I decided to take on ownership of him myself. And we grew to create a pretty amazing bond. They say you have a heart horse, and I thought as a little girl one of my horses was hands down my heart horse, and Ollie definitely proved that to be different. And maybe you can have two heart horses, but I think in my adult life this horse was definitely my heart horse for sure. And some of the issues that he had that we addressed were obviously his blindness. His blind behaviors would result in injuries from him running into things. So we really had to take into consideration his environment a whole lot because of his disabilities. Inflammation issues that were happening within his body were showing themselves symptomatically through his hooves. So by really delving into his hooves, I went down the rabbit hole of diet and so many different things. But I ultimately wound up involving a vet in the end stages to do a bunch of diagnostics and discover some pretty deep-rooted issues. So in 2018, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I was really, really worried about what was going to happen with Ollie while I was, down. And he became a therapy for me. And I don't know that I really would have gotten through that point in my life without him. So when I recovered from all of my surgeries, I decided to bring him from my mom's place, about 45 minutes from me, to town so that I could see him every day and take the very best care of him and give him back some of the appreciation that I had for him being so good to me through my cancer journey. So we moved him in 2018 here to town, and his decline started to show pretty quickly, but the decline was pretty slow from there. So the original place that we moved him to was not cohesive for him. I thought it was. It was everything I wanted it to be for him, and I had to learn the hard way that what we think is good for them definitely is not. And ultimately it brought us to where we were for the remainder of our time together. And at that particular barn, I was able to create a track living environment for him, which was really great for his feet, very great for his diet and his mind. And he made really great horsey friends there that I still get the pleasure of going out and seeing a couple times a week. So during his time there, he had an accident with an electric fence, and we weren't really sure what happened. But the result was a severed extensor tendon in one of his front legs. So it was a little odd to me that a horse as cautious as him with his blindness would have had such a tangle with an electric fence. So we decided to put up some cameras to see if we might be able to find out what may have caused that situation, if it was something that may happen again. And the camera resulted in us seeing some pretty horrific falls for him. And when he would attempt to sleep standing up, he would essentially fall. And I admittedly had never seen him lie down to sleep. I figured with him being a blind horse that it was, the conditions had to be just right for him to feel safe enough to do so. I never assumed that it was a problem with him getting up and down because he rolled all the time. I always saw him rolling any chance he got. So I just assumed that he did, and had to come to the hard realization that he didn't and he wasn't. And a huge part of his accidents were absolutely results of his falls. So we believe that he likely fell asleep outside and fell into the electric fence, which I cannot even imagine how terrible that was for him. So for about a year after that, I tried every which way I possibly could to make him comfortable enough to lie down and sleep. Got a vet involved, did a bunch of diagnostics, went the injection route, every supplement you could think of. And we really just still weren't getting anywhere. And I knew that he had a ridiculous drive to live, and he would be one of those horses that was always probably going to make me make the choice for him of when was enough. So I knew that I had to start making some pretty tough decisions about quality over quantity for Ollie. And I learned a ton about sleep deprivation in the process. I actually add a video here of some of his worst sleep deprivation falls for anybody that may be dealing with some of that. And I would encourage you to, never ignore knee rubs or fetlock sores, even sometimes hock sores, because if it's an issue of, just having trouble getting up and down can absolutely be the cause of those things. But if they happen pretty chronically and they don't seem to have an environment that would make sense, definitely consider that there may be some falling happening. So again, just another one of those things that Ollie really brought to light and taught me about that I really didn't know existed as much as it does. And I love to add that value and share that with other people. So ultimately, we find out that Ollie had a completely deteriorated meniscus joint in his hind end. And because of the videos that we were able to see, Ollie was falling on that side quite often. So we put it all together to say that he would continue to fall and it would continue to deteriorate. His internal inflammation from the trauma of his falls was going to continue to affect his feet and his sleeping and his just overall altogether. So I always wondered if I would be able to have the opportunity to donate Ollie to vet science. I thought he was such a mystery in so many different aspects for me as an owner that maybe it would just be a wonderful opportunity for vet students to be able to learn from him. So when I realized that I probably needed to be making some decisions for him, I reached out to the University of Illinois and asked their vet school department if they had any use for demonstration to any of the issues that he had. And I pretty quickly got a response back, which was heartbreaking, however, very relieving, because this man told me that they were actually getting ready to prepare for a surgery demonstration on joint repair. So how perfect was that, my Ollie was going to be able to teach the future vets of America about joint deterioration and how to repair those things. And I got all the details of the procedure, and they thanked me profusely to the effect of giving them a live cadaver. This doesn't happen very often in vet medicine, as I understand. So they were able to do everything from a lameness exam to a full assessment to sedation And they had their demonstration with all of these vet students, and then ultimately he was euthanized while under sedation. So, as crazy of a journey as it was, it made me very happy to be able to make sure that Ollie's journey, sorry, I might get a little choked up, that Ollie's journey didn't end in a grave behind the barn. That Ollie was going to go on to teach people forever through his donation to that school and through the services that I provide. So, creating this course was something that was really important to me, not only just in Ollie's legacy, but for my growth and my grief of losing him. I find so much peace in helping other people. So I hope that Ollie and I are able to teach you some skills that will bring a wealth of happiness to your horses, and strengthen the bond that you guys may have together. And if you have any questions, please reach out. I love to hear some feedback. If you find yourself dealing with any sort of sleep deprivation issues, I have so much information that I can share about that. So please never hesitate to reach out. And thanks so much for listening to our story.